Now, have you ever felt stuck trying to figure out what your next video is going to be about, or just staring at a blank screen with no idea what to do next? If that's you, then this video is for you. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I overcome creative blocks, and I'm going to be sharing my 5 best tips so that you can get back on track and being the best creative ever out there. Now, I just want to let you know that creative blocks happens to everybody. Like, sometimes you need to be able to spot when you're not feeling that flow again. Well, you need to get back in that mode. Sometimes it could be caused by maybe you burnt yourself out by putting out too much, which is still a good thing. Now, as someone who has been in this space for quite some time, I could tell you personally that creative blocks happens to everybody. Like, for example, for me, I've worked with over hundreds of brands at this point, and I've worked with brands ranging from small to big. But at the same time, I feel like sometimes I can't produce more ideas. I can't bring out something that's unique than the previous one. And sometimes I would need to get back in the mode or do a personal reset to get myself back on track. Now, my first tip on how to get back on track, I would say is, which most people don't like doing, is take a strategic break. Sometimes it's just good to step away, even if it means going on a walk, just taking off some screen time, just because the thing about inspiration is that it can come from anywhere. You can be going on a walk and just see an alleyway or like a nice, for example, I'm in the great outdoors right now on a tennis court. Over here, I could just get any inspiration to film anything. Think of the world as your oyster, that you could just use it as your canvas per se, that you could just make anything you want of it, and you are the painter or the artist. I'm a strong believer of record everything, because you do not know where your next inspiration could come from. You could be on a walk and see a nice alleyway or a nice building and decide like, oh, this looks better than me filming in my bedroom. Or you could just be maybe even sitting by the bus stop and come up with an idea for a photo shoot, which is better than maybe if you're used to shooting indoors or shooting in your room, because sometimes that might feel repetitive, that you might feel like, oh, I'm not making anything new anymore. My content feels very repetitive. And because of that, it helps change your brain chemistry to start producing something way more different and something brand new. So sometimes just stepping away from your editing software or your computer in general can help rewire your brain to come up with new ideas and pump out new stuff. So you should give that a try sometime. I know I said this tip earlier, but my second tip would be to change up your environment, which is actually a huge factor, because that actually can make and break your content, in the sense that if you're always shooting in the same spot, over time, your retention rate would slowly decline, because people get used to seeing the same thing over and over again, which doesn't give them any dopamine rush in their brains or lets them be open to anything new that you're doing. But when you switch up your content, you will notice that like you have a higher retention rate, because you keep people guessing of what you're gonna do next. Because people will always want to wonder, oh, well, he's in your new spot. He's no more filming from his bedroom. And also trying to incorporate new angles, because that also keeps people more engaged, because the more angles, the more interesting it becomes. The more people want to know what's gonna happen next. Is he gonna be shooting from the ceiling? I mean, don't break your phone or camera because of that, but that's a good idea. You know, you could also go outside. You could try some crazy angles, because, for example, for me, I have like extensions that I use for my camera that helps me get like the craziest shots. Like I have a section for my car where I put it in my car and I'm driving, and it could record me from the side view. If you make talking videos, I would suggest at least going to a park bench and saying you can do your talking videos from there, which just gives a whole change of scenery, because the way the human mind works is that we tend to get numb when we're used to seeing something over and over again. So just that tiny switch up you make, or that small difference you make, can make a huge difference in your content and retention rate. Now, my next point would be to seek inspiration outside your niche. Now, what do I mean by that? Now I'm talking about, so you might be in the fashion niche, and you might also be inclined to just looking at just fashion videos. You'd be like, maybe I don't need to look into the home or the fitness people, like content style. But what you're missing out is that you could also take a look at people who make content in various niches and remix and make it targeted towards your own audience. For example, let's say you saw someone who did a nice transition in the fashion niche, but you're in the fitness niche. I would say take something out of it, like maybe the video editing style, maybe the trending audio or whatever, and try to make it in your own style. Let's say you saw a fitness inspo of someone who transitioned from being skinny to being super buff and lean. Now you can also remix that same idea for a fashion post. For example, as a fashion post, you could do it in the sense that you used to dress like a bum. Like, you weren't dressing that good, you had bad style. And then fast forward to a couple of years later, you started dressing way better. You show off like maybe your new kicks, your new outlook, everything. Just like that, you've come up with a brand new idea by just remixing something in a whole different niche. Now, I will say, never shut out all other niches because you don't know where you could draw inspiration from. And always once in a while, look at what other niches are doing so that you could at least grab something or learn something from them. Now, my next point would be to collaborate with others. Now, this is very good because when two heads come together, it actually gives birth to more and more ideas, in the sense that you might have one idea and your friend might have another idea, but when you guys bring those two ideas together, both of you can develop on it and make it 10 times better than you ever thought. In the sense, or even if you don't want to, and this doesn't have to only just be a creator. This will be your friend, your spouse, anyone that's close to you, even your brother, your siblings, anyone. Because the thing about the human mind is that everybody's wired differently. So what you might think might be the best for you, somebody can have an alternative to it that could also be better, or probably even be the same level. But one thing is that you guys could still come to a meeting ground and come up with something way better. And also, this is also advantageous to your content too, and also the other person's content if they're a creator, where you guys can both collaborate on the same idea, come up, be on the same post, because this makes you guys bring both your platforms together and expand your reach just by introducing each other to newer audiences. Because the thing is that when two people join heads together, it gets the creative juices flowing, whereby more and more ideas are being made right on the spot. Now think about it. If you and your friend are going on a walk together, you might spot a nice bus stop to take pictures there. Meanwhile, he's already seen a nice park bench. And because of that, you guys have come up with two different ideas. And the things are, the way you're wired is you're very different from the next person. It's really a very less likelihood for you guys to come up with the same exact idea in the same exact moment. Now, my final point, and this is what a lot of people struggle with, is that give yourself a chance to experiment. Now, this brings me down to my final point, which is give yourself some chance to experiment. Every piece of content you put out doesn't have to be the best, because at the end of the day, it's all just for fun. And if you're trying to make this a career, the only way you enjoy this is if you keep trying out new things. And new experiments equals newer reach, newer audiences to test out, and also it helps you understand yourself more as a content creator. Now, you trying out new experiments also opens you doors to any other niche that you might maybe be interested in. Now, one thing a lot of people struggle with is that they always try to make their content seem perfect. They always believe that every short list has to be planned to the T. My advice, once in a while, try to go off script. You don't have to follow everything script by script. I'm not going to say that scripting is bad. I'm just saying that sometimes it will help you to be able to understand yourself better and also be able to be more free and be more of yourself when you're in front of the camera. Because from my personal experience, I would say that the best content ideas I've ever had are from trying out things without even scripting or even planning it out all the way to the T, and just letting things flow casually. Because for me personally, like, the best ideas usually come from whenever I'm trying out something new without worrying if this is going to go viral or if this is going to be a trend. And that's why I tell people a lot, do not chase trends. You can try out a trend for fun, but I wouldn't say make it your bread and butter. Now, even while creators are trying to overcome creative blocks, another thing I've also noticed that they struggle with is, will people like this? What will people say about me? This is not my usual niche. This is not what I usually post on a regular. Who cares? I tell people that when you try out new ideas, do it for the love of the game. The thing about when you have a creative block, most times is caused by you doing the same thing over and over again. Now, another tip on how to overcome creative block is by overcoming burnouts, in the sense that it's good to put out so much content. I advise a lot of creators to put out, if you could, 3 to 5 videos per day. But when that leads to burnout, that's when it's a problem. And that now affects you as a creator, where you're now stuck in the limbo of, I do not know what to make next. And that's why I tell content creators is that they should find a sweet spot, in the sense that if you know that, okay, on average, you can put out 1 video every single day of the week. If you're approaching burnouts, or you're realizing that, like, by day 5 or day 4, that you're running out of ideas, I would suggest to re-strategize and look for an average or a median of number of videos you can put out. In the sense that if you say you're putting out, if you can personally put out 7 videos a week, and that's like 1 video each day, I would say try to aim for 3 to 4 high quality videos. And if you're putting out anything more, it should be something that you just maybe something you made it quick, or a fun video that you're just trying to experiment. Because as I said earlier, do not make every video seem like it has to be perfect. Some videos could just be fun experiments you want to try, maybe some things that you enjoy doing. It could just be a hobby. It doesn't have to always be niched down. That's another thing creators fail to understand. Now, my next tip on how to overcome creative block would be overcoming the constant pressure of trying to put out content every single day. Now, I know that it might feel hectic, that it might feel like every day that you have to put out something new, you have to drop a video literally every single day of the week. But I just want to let you know that it shouldn't be like that. Content should be fun. You shouldn't feel like it's I know some people do it as a full-time job, but you should do it as a job where you enjoy what you're doing, that you should move at your own pace. So never try to stop feeling pressure that you have to keep putting out something new every single day. Now, I want you to remember this. You cannot post a breakthrough video if you stop. Now, creativity isn't always inspiration. Sometimes it's discipline and curiosity. So please keep showing up every day. And trust me, it's gonna work out. Now, if this video helped you out today, I want you to smash that like button and subscribe for more creator tips. Let's grow together. See you all in the next video. Comment below what you struggle with as a content creator. Let's help each other out in this community and grow together. See y'all next time.